Hi, this is Manny with Not Waiting to Live. I'm a former Mercedes Benz car salesman, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to research a used car. I found from my experience that finding a good used car is as much about getting the research right as it is getting the used car inspection right. Now, this content comes from a longer video that I previously released about what to look for when buying a used car. But I decided to break that video into separate parts to make the content easier to access and easier to digest. This video is part 2. And if at any point you find the content in this video useful, please take the time to like the content, comment if you can. This is the way the YouTube algorithm picks up my content, gives my channel more exposure, and gives me the incentive to keep making videos that help people save time and money on their next vehicle purchase. So thanks in advance. Let's assume that you already have a specific vehicle in mind. Now, I have separate videos on this channel about determining how much you can afford to pay for a car that's set in your budget, or how to negotiate a vehicle price, whether that's a used car, a new car, a lease. But let's assume you got that all figured out, and now you're honing in on a specific make and model year. You cannot afford to overlook just general problems that you find on a vehicle on the internet. And so what I could say, from speaking from experience, a few years ago I bought a 1994 Jeep Wrangler, and the internet had told me in advance that the 4-cylinder models had a different transmission than the 6-cylinder models, and the 4 cylinders were problematic. They'd go out around 100,000 miles. Well, I knew it, and even though I knew it, I went and I got a 4-cylinder because it's all I could find near me. The inspection was great. It was this vehicle. It's been a whole life in Florida. I live in Cleveland, so any Jeep around me was going to be completely rusted out. But down in Florida, there was no rust on this vehicle, and I bought it anyways. And within 10,000 miles, sure enough, that transmission went out. I love the thing, but I just knew it. And so it's one thing to give your car to a mechanic and have them speak in generalities and talk in broad strokes about what could go wrong. But it's another thing to be aware of the nuances of your specific make and model year vehicle, and the internet will love to tell you those things, so take the time to Google what that is. Once you're comfortable with a specific make and model year, you're going to hone in on a specific car. And you have several options. You can go to a dealer, which is going to give you more confidence in the vehicle, that you're getting what you're paying for, but there will be a bit of a premium attached to it. You could go to a private seller, which you'll have a little bit less confidence in, but you might get more of a deal. And you could go to an auto auction, which you'll have the least confidence in because you're buying it as is, but that could give you potentially the best deal that you're going to find anywhere. In any case, you have two main options to determine the history of the vehicle. So the cheaper of the two services is AutoCheck. So they're able to tell you if a vehicle has been in a major accident. They look to see if there's been an insurance claim related to the vehicle, or if it's been involved in a police report, and they're able to relay that information to you. The more comprehensive and expensive of the services is Carfax. So that's probably the most well known to most car buyers. Carfax is able to tell you maintenance history, the associated mileage at those maintenance dates, and they can tell you a more specific ownership history and when the titles were transferred, as well as recall history, whether those recalls have been made on a vehicle, which can be useful. And the services are comparable for one car. So AutoCheck is $25 at the time of this video for one basic report. Carfax is $40 for one vehicle for a more comprehensive report. AutoCheck does have the advantage in that for $50 you can look at 25 cars with their basic report within a period of 21 days. So that might be helpful to somebody looking at the private car market, and you might be want to look at several cars, and you don't even want to waste your time on a car that's been in an accident before. So you use AutoCheck to find out in advance. If you're buying from a dealership, though, Carfax is pretty standard. Most dealerships include that information with their vehicle, and you can just request that information from them. So it's just an option to consider that you do have at minimum. There are other platforms as well, other services, but these are the two main services that you could consider to find out about the vehicle's history before you purchase it. And before I forget, something to mention for people buying a used car from a private seller: make sure there are no liens on that title. So there are two ways you can do that. You can either take the VIN number and run a search on the VIN number from the DMV website on your state's DMV website, or before you agree to finalize the sale and register the vehicle in your name, make sure you take that seller with you to the DMV, and together you go and try and register the vehicle in your name and make sure there's no problems. This is rarely an issue if you purchase from a dealer or an auction, but it may be an issue if you are in a private sale.